we often charge for things like ideation,
Yes.
storyboarding,
Scripting.
scripting, all that stuff. And I wanted to ask you, when you're conducting a shoot, regardless of size, how important is the storyboarding and planning and having a sort of a proper brief? How essential is that?
Even though a client sees it as a line item and go, why do I have to pay X amount of pounds for that?
Yeah.
Because it keeps everyone on track. It keeps the day shoot to a day shoot. If needs be, it can speed things up a little bit throughout the day because everyone knows, you know, the old phrase, singing from the same hymn sheet.
Yeah.
Both client and service provider, us in this case, know that when we finished scene one and we've interviewed the managing director, he can go back and run his business, go about his day. We don't need him on shoot all day. So it's efficient for the client and it's super efficient for us.
Let's break it down. So what is ideation?
So ideation is, I mean, you start with some key components or headlines. What is the message? You're the business.
Which part of your company you're trying to advertise?
Yeah. And
Which
I mean, maybe point one is, who's your desired viewer or avatar? Because if you're selling mugs to, you know, under 25s because they've got something cool or sweary written on them, and that's that sort of age group, or if you're selling mugs to over 60s and it's nice vistas of beaches and whatever else, holiday homes or whatever, then that's your start point. So an ideation is, okay, you want to do A, but actually to get to B, there's quite a few little trigger points in between that as your production company, we need to know about because I mean, ideation, we normally sit around with the team, don't we?
Particularly if it's a creative project. So, because often a client will come to us, won't they? And they'll say, oh, I've got this product and I want to make an advert. And we go, great. Any idea what that might look like? And they'll go, no. And so we'll have to come up with a storyline. A good example was Brent Guarantor.
Yes.
That was a good example, I think, of really strong ideation where they came to us and said, look, we're a product that provides guaranteed, becomes a guarantor if you haven't got anyone who can guarantee your
they were
your
older
rent.
people,
Students,
unemployed and
foreign students, overseas students. And so we said, right, okay, so we need to come up with story, effectively ideas of what that might look like as an end. And so the output ended up with, you know, a Chinese foreign student. So we need to find a location for an aircraft fuselage. We need to find a location for an Oriental looking home or something that would play as if it were in China.
Yes.
You know, we had an older gentleman in there who was retiring and moving away, and he wanted to do more outdoor pursuits. So we had to think, oh, well, okay, well, what outdoor pursuits can he do? And the guy happened to enjoy paragliding. So we said, right, well, we can factor that in and got him paragliding. So that's ideation, and that's why it's important. How important is... We are actually big into planning shoots, and we have a production pack now, call sheets with all the info. And, you know, we try and work with the client before we get to shoot, obviously, about what we're shooting and how we're going to do it and all that other sort of stuff, and come with ideas. If someone hadn't got a production company in, how would they go about creating a sort of rough call sheet for their day? And how important do you think it is if they were going to do that themselves?
Yeah, I mean, because it can be quite sort of haphazard and a bit sort of shooting here, there and everywhere. If you're just trying to come up with ideas on the day when the camera's already set up, even if it's not scripted, you do need to have that rough timeline of, right, we'll spend the morning doing A, B and C shots, and the afternoon, a client expectation pack almost is, where have you got for us to film? I.e., is it in a small one room office where 4 people are working, the phones are going? Because I'm sorry, that's just not going to work. Unless you're going to turn the phones off, you're going to need some quiet on set for the interviews, right? But if they send us 4 or 5 photos of quite an expansive office they've got or a spare room they've got, we can go, right, well, actually, there's not much natural light in there. So we'll bring, you know, some stick lights, some pink lights, some blue lights to match their branding of their business. And it just, again, it speeds up the shoot. It essentially costs the customer less money because you've done that forethought. Usain Bolt or any, you know, amazing world-class athlete, they don't just turn up at the Olympics and run 100 meters.
No.
It's managing these small steps before you get to the big event. So us turning up at your business, filming on the day, is the grand final. Like, it's not to say that it can't be repeated, because obviously we can come back again if needs be. But the idea is to tick all those boxes to make sure the client and us as the, you know, the filming company are on the same page. If you just need Debbie from accounts for an hour, then you need to tell Debbie from accounts that she needs to block out 12 till 1, not go up to Debbie from accounts at 10 to 12 and go, Debbie, we need you for an hour. And she's like, Are you kidding me? I've got all these reports to run off. That's not happening. Yeah, it just works every single which way. But look,
What if you haven't got a production company coming in and you're trying to manage a day's shooting yourself just on a budget?
oh, okay, right. Well, the idea is still the same. You need to alert members of staff or team that are going to be involved in the shoot when they're needed, how long they're probably going to be needed for. I mean, look, if you're the MD, then of course you can just walk up to, accounts and say, "Oh, we need you for an hour," and their employees, they're probably not going to say no, or they might say, "Well, I've got to do this first." But also, that's affecting your business that you're trying to run still while squeezing in a film day shoot, right? So, planning, and planning.
Great.